everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cavanaugh's Corner. Today on the show I'm going to be talking about a movie that I wanted to wait a little bit to talk about because I saw this movie last Friday, and it was a movie that it hit me pretty hard because I'm a big fan of this character, and I wanted to give it a little time for me to kind of marinate on it. I had expectations for, I knew it was going to be at least halfway decent, but it really blew me away, and that is, of course, The Batman. I mean, what a cast this movie has. Robert Pattinson, Jeffrey Wright, Colin Farrell, Zoe Kravitz, John Turturro. I mean, this has just got an incredible cast. And of course, we can't forget Paul Dano in an unforgettable performance here, but really, I'm a huge Batman fan. I've always loved the character. It is probably my favorite comic book character ever. And I remember seeing Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson when I was younger. I had a big poster of that movie in our living room. That and Batman Returns were the two big posters that were in the room. And it's crazy, but those movies have always had a very special place in my heart. And so, for another new Batman now, after Ben Affleck played the character a few times, and Christian Bale, of course, in his legendary performance in those three films, I was kind of hesitant about the casting of Robert Pattinson, but I do have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, this is one of the best Batman movies ever made. And that is really because this is the closest we've ever gotten to having the true comic Batman. In all honesty, I think this is really it. I used to read the comics a lot when I was a kid, and Batman is the Dark Knight detective. And we've really only seen Batman do the detective thing a few times on screen. And it's usually for very small portions of the movie. And now we've really gotten the true detective Batman. This movie is not your typical comic book action movie. I mean, there are action scenes, but it's a mystery film. It's a detective film. And even though there isn't a ton of action in it, the action that is in the film is exquisitely done. And it's brutal, it's hard-hitting, but it's also wildly entertaining. And the action scenes in this are phenomenal. There's one scene in particular at the beginning of the movie where Batman takes on these thugs, and it kind of really reminded me of the way Batman fights in the Arkham Asylum games, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, those games. The way he fights these guys, it's a real, brawler type fight, and it's great. It's really great to see. Robert Pattinson is just absolutely fantastic as Batman / Bruce Wayne in this movie. He's he's a moody, kind of reclusive type, so he's not like the playboy billionaire yet. He definitely is very emotionally scarred, and you can see that in his performance. And he is kind of reminiscent of Michael Keaton in that way, where he's not out there all the time. He's kind of reclusive, and I like that. I kind of like seeing that. It's an interesting take of Batman that we have not seen in a while. And plus, he's only been doing it for 2 years in this film, and it's almost like a project for him. And I really kind of got a kick out of that he's trying to see what impact he has. And I really like that. I thought it was an interesting touch. Colin Farrell as the Penguin in this steals every scene that he's in. He is unrecognizable in this role, but he is just unbelievable in this movie. He is so good. The accent, the makeup, everything. To be honest, he's now my favorite Penguin of all time. And I really got a kick out of Danny DeVito back in the day with the flipper hands and all the crap coming out of his mouth and eating raw fish and all that stuff. It was good, but this is like the true comic Penguin, and he just embodies it. And now recently there's been news broken that there's going to be a whole series with him, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman in this, as Selina Kyle. Again, an extremely great performance. I still think Michelle Pfeiffer is my favorite Catwoman. She brought it to that character back in the day. But Kravitz brings a more emotional performance here than we've ever gotten before as Catwoman. Far and away leagues above Anne Hathaway's performance, although, again, it's hard to compare because these are extremely different movies. But I would take Zoe Kravitz over Anne Hathaway in this part any day. I really liked the way she played the part, and I really liked the charisma that she brought to it, and the emotion as well. It's a very emotional storyline that she goes through. And, man, Jeffrey Wright as Gordon just killed it, and is now also my favorite Jim Gordon, which is crazy because Gary Oldman was amazing as Jim Gordon. He did a great job in those films, and again, it's a very different film, but the thing I keep going back to is that their back and forth is, like I said, straight out of the comics. The way they interact, their relationship, everything is very much comic book Jim Gordon, and I love that. I thought it was so great that they trusted each other fully, and Gordon's brave enough to bring Batman in on these crimes that happen during the film, and it's awesome. Their chemistry is amazing in this. I really, really love that. I got that there's some kind of history there, but we really don't know what it is. I loved it. I really loved his performance in this movie, and he had some of the best lines in the film, honestly. But Jeffrey Wright's an amazing actor, so we don't expect anything less from the man. Now, in terms of some other stuff, the cinematography in this movie is incredible. I love the look of Gotham City. Again, it's a great mix of reality and comic book where they got it just right. It doesn't look like they just shot it in Chicago or New York. It's an amalgamation of all these things, and it works perfectly for this movie. I've read that they were kind of going for the look and vibe of Seven in this, and that really rings true. The movie it's constantly raining all the time. And it really provides this moodiness to the film that I loved. Matt Reeves, the director, just directed this thing perfectly. I mean, every shot in this movie you can tell was strategically planned out and perfectly executed. I mean, this is one of the best directing jobs I've ever seen in a comic book film. Very impressed by his direction in this. The music by Michael Giacchino is awesome, and the use of Nirvana during the film is awesome. Kind of made me long for the days of grunge and flannel, but it fit the mood perfectly. It was kind of like a recurring theme song besides the orchestral Batman theme by Giacchino, and I gotta say, oh my lord, that Batman theme, that is gotta be one of my favorite Batman themes, leagues better than Hans Zimmer's, and I like Hans Zimmer's score, but it's so much more gothic, and it had this emotion to it that really screamed Batman to me, and it's probably my second favorite one next to the old Danny Elfman score, which I still love to this day. Other than that, I mean, the movie, it is 3 hours long, and for some people that's going to be way too long. For me, it was a smidge too long, and I have a friend of mine that saw it and said, it doesn't really feel like 3 hours. It felt like 3 hours to me. It's just a little too long, but it's a very enjoyable 3 hours, and this is one of the rare films that's in that time range, that's in that 3 hour range, that I could see myself rewatching multiple times just because the story is so taut, and it doesn't leave room for a lot of removal. because of the mystery elements and everything. You cut certain scenes out, you're going to lose massive amounts of story, and I'm glad that they kept it at the length that they did. Although, like I said, if they had trimmed 10, 15 minutes out of the movie, might have just been a little bit better, but again, I understand why it's that length. To me, you know, the only other thing that I'd say before I get into spoilers here is that Andy Serkis as Alfred, as much as I enjoyed his performance in this film, Alfred was a little bit underused for my like. There's not much room for him in the story, although he is in there here and there. I would have liked to seen a little bit more Alfred, but again, Alfred took a back seat to Batman and his storyline, and of course, all the other characters that I mentioned already. There's a lot of characters in this film, so there's only so much room for everybody. But again, he did a very good job as Alfred. Definitely not one of my favorites, but he was very good. Andy Serkis is a fantastic actor, and a not so bad director either. If you saw that second Venom film, he, you know, it was pretty well done. So, you know, that was pretty much it for the non-spoiler review. I'm going to go into some spoilers here in a minute, and all I can say is that if you're a fan of Batman, you really need to see this film. This is so well done. It's extraordinarily, it's such a fantastically entertaining film. If you're a fan of the comic Batman, you are going to adore this film, and I really liked it too, like I said, with the exception of the usage of some characters and some other things I'm going to get into in a minute. I think it's a very well-made film, and it's probably one of my favorite Batman films of all time now. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. It is a fantastically well-made film, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, honestly. Now we're going to get into a couple spoilers here, but it's something I wanted to talk about for the review. Again, if you haven't seen the film, you know, shut me off now. I appreciate you coming by. But spoiler-wise, I think Paul Dano is one of the best Batman villains that have ever been on screen. His Riddler is really scary. He is a scary dude in this movie. Almost like a, you know, I mean, the guy's a serial killer in this thing, basically. And the way they handled this character was just funny enough to be Riddler, crazy enough to be, you know, a nutcase, but also there was something menacing about him that we've never gotten on screen before from maybe any villain. He was very, very terrifying. And I think that was one thing that really made him a threat, is that Paul Dano could play this guy that is so whacked but brilliant that he kind of steals the show. So he did a really great job with that. Of course, the scene at the end where you get the Joker, that scene to me was kind of unnecessary. I was glad that they put that character in there, but it felt like it was very tacked on. And I was not crazy about the fact that here's the Joker. Like, you sat through the movie, so now we're going to get the Joker. And I was like, it just didn't feel, to me, it felt kind of out of place. And I know why they're doing it, because they're working up to the next film. But again, to me, we could have done without it, honestly. But now that we know that they're planning an Arkham Asylum movie, which is going to be the next one with Pattinson here, he's going to be a part of that, you know, guaranteed. So we'll see what happens with that. I think the other thing I really liked about this film is that there is a really nice twist about Bruce Wayne's parents not being the perfect people that they are always portrayed as. And the expectation of that is actually kind of used against the audience in this, which I thought was kind of brilliant. The fact that they made mistakes, they made deals with bad people, I thought that was a really nice twist. And it surprised me, honestly, because nobody's ever done that before. So it really added to the drama of the piece. It gave Batman some, conflict that he had to work through. I really like that. And the other thing I was kind of impressed about is that Batman really has a really good story arc in this. His character arc in this, going from the guy that just wants to inflict vengeance on wrongdoers, on these people who commit crimes, and then coming full circle at the end where he's realizing that he's no better than these people that are out there committing the crimes, because they see themselves as the same. I'm vengeance is the line. He realizes that he has to become more than that, and he has to become a sign of hope, rather than this guy that just dishes out vengeance. I thought that was really great. I thought that was really a great touch. A signal of hope is something we all kind of need right now, honestly, after the last couple years, and especially everything that's going on in the world today. I really like that. I thought that was a really nice touch. And again, hats off to everyone involved with the Batman. I cannot wait to see another film with this crew. I'm hoping Matt Reeves stays on, because I think he was really integral to how fantastic this movie was. I really enjoyed it. If you like this review, definitely give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel below so I can bring you more videos like this. As always, it was great being here with you today. Thank you so much for coming back to Cavanaugh's Corner. Also, make sure to check out my TikTok, which I'm now uploading quick little reviews for, especially for these 4Ks and Blu-rays that I may not have time to review here on the channel. Definitely go subscribe to me on TikTok as well. So, as always, thank you so much. Please stay safe and take it easy.